Imagine your family. Imagine life watching them sit in a hospital bed for days at a time knowing that you can do nothing for them. But somebody out there can. But the forces greater than themselves can't. This is what a real family in the real world with a real member going through this turmoil feels. This is their plight and it is not to be taken lightly. Today I'm going to be addressing the New York Times editorial Ways to Reduce the Kidney Shortage and criticizing the author's approach of this issue. I believe the author did not go far enough in supporting his view of the importance as well as the urgency about the issue at hand, but rather talks vaguely about possible solutions with no real credible information. My qualms stem from the author's lack of certifying his position, or the merits behind his actual arguments, as well as the lack of an emotional appeal in an article which he describes as heart-rending. And lastly, the lack of a very imperative piece of information that is crucial to an argument like this. Now let's take a look at the true merits behind this argument. First, the article failed in its attempt to certify itself as well as its proposed solutions, but rather it settles for vaguer terms which overall diminish the value of most all of the claims made in this editorial. To begin with, the only statistical evidence presented in this editorial is the fact that the ratio of available kidneys to donors is 16,000 to 100,000. At times when the article should have utilized statistical value, it instead reverts to vague language referring to its sources as some people or some experts before stating what the proposed solutions were. This greatly diminishes the strength of the author's claims because no one knows the qualifications of the people making these proposed solutions. Because of the lack of statistical evidence, there's no way to gauge or predict the possible successes of these propositions for the government to adopt. On that same notion of expert opinion, the matter at hand is a medical matter, and the author completely ignores any input from any medical professionals. Medical opinion is very crucial to a topic like this, because those who are experts in this field are the only one that can give first-hand credible information on the effectiveness of any of these improvements. Expert testimony would serve as a much stronger reinforcement than the unverified information proposed by the article. Because of the massive gap that lies between available kidneys and those in need of transplant, it is imperative to be able to predict which steps will have the most effective results. Now secondly, the author claims that this is a heart-rending issue, but the author makes no real attempt to use any emotional appeal. The fact that people are dying, an average up to 19 people a day, waiting on the transplant list, according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, is one that has a very strong emotional pull. This article also has this level of monotonous feeling to it, causing a sense of lackluster, which undermines the severity of the actual situations. This feeling do not correctly depict the issue in its full light. By not utilizing a sense of an emotional urgency, this article dismisses an entire demographic that could bring about some change in this field. A Huffington Post article titled Extraordinary Altruism, Who Donates a Kidney to a Stranger, talks about the many accounts in which altruism has provoked many people to give a kidney to someone they do not know at all, with no reasons other than a genuine concern to help someone. The benefit of an emotional appeal has the power to pull more people like this out. It is also important to note that a person can live a normal life with one kidney just as they can with two. These donors whom are willing to give altruistically are out there, and whatever method needed to persuade them should be taken. On the topic of educating the public on the entirety of this epidemic, there's a point not made by this article. There is a severe biological obstacle that the author forgot to mention, which is an element that is very crucial to this argument. According to Massachusetts General Hospital transplant surgeon Francis Delmonico, biological barriers can often block a transplant from a relative. In about a third of all would-be pairs, blood types are incompatible. In others, the sick person has antibodies that can initiate a rejection of the donated organ. Facts like these should be present in the article because educating the public about the discrepancies that can occur within a single family when one member is not a match for another whom desperately needs it. It reinforces the need for a strong national campaign to encourage donors. Ultimately, educating the public on the most pressing matters of this issue is what should be focused on, because that is what will bring about the most change. Ultimately, the author of this article makes very clear points about the ways to reduce the kidney shortage, but misses some crucial information about this topic. which diminish the overall effectiveness that an article like this has to offer. I believe that I provided certain key improvements that could help overall strengthen this argument because this is an epidemic that should be addressed and it needs to be concluded. Thank you.